I came home for Thanksgiving expecting warmth, noise, the usual chaos of family. Instead, the house was silent. Only one sound broke the stillness, the slow creak of a rocking chair in the living room. My husband's stepfather sat there, one eye closed, one eye open. The note on the table beside him was short, cruel. Gone on a cruise with my ex. You'll stay home and take care of stepdad. He needs you. The stepfather opened both eyes, fixed me with a knowing stare, and said, "Shall we begin?" I nodded. Betrayal doesn't arrive with a trumpet blast. It creeps. First, it was the late nights, the excuses, the phone calls he stepped outside to take. Then the sudden interest in gym memberships, the cologne he hadn't worn in years. I knew before the evidence came, but I waited. Patience is a weapon. The proof finally arrived wrapped in arrogance, a text mistakenly left open on his laptop. Her name, the same woman he used to mock. His ex-wife. The ghost he swore was buried. Not only was she alive in his heart, she was on a cruise with him while I was left as caretaker of his stepfather. That was his final mistake. Stepdad wasn't frail. He was sharp, quiet, and more observant than my husband ever was. He studied me as I read the note. "You already knew," he said. "Yes," I answered. "Then I suppose you've been planning." I gave the faintest smile because he wasn't wrong. Over 4 days, that house became my command center. Stepdad became my silent ally, and my husband, miles away, thought he was in paradise. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't beg. I began with the accounts: bank, joint investments, property titles. While he was sipping cocktails with her, I was transferring, freezing, securing. Everything he thought was his depended on my signing. He had forgotten that. Then I spoke to lawyers. Divorce papers drafted, airtight, timed for maximum damage. Every clause, every figure tilted the scale in my favor. Stepdad watched it unfold like theater. "You're surgical," he muttered once. "I learned from the best," I said. Him. He taught me to be cautious, to double-check everything. He never realized I was learning from him, against him. On the third night, my phone buzzed. His number lit the screen. I let it ring out. Then again and again. Finally, I answered, my voice calm. "Enjoying yourself?" He sounded drunk, careless. "She's nothing like you, but it feels good, you know." Like old times, I let him talk. Every word was a nail. When he finally paused, I said, "Good. Stay there as long as you like. Everything here is handled." He laughed, not realizing. That laugh died soon enough. By the 4th day, he returned early. Desperate. Not with triumph in his eyes, but panic. He had discovered the frozen accounts, the missing assets. He came home to reclaim control, but the house was not his anymore. Stepdad sat waiting in the chair, as if guarding the throne. I stood behind him, divorce papers on the table, a thick stack of legal precision. My husband stormed in. "What did you do?" I didn't answer immediately. Silence stretched until he shifted from rage to fear. Only then did I step forward, sliding the papers across the table. "Sign." His hands shook. "You can't. I already did." Lawyers, banks, the house. Everything's gone. This is just a formality. Stepdad rocked once, the creak cutting through the air. "Boy," he said, his voice low, "you lost the moment you thought she was blind." My husband dropped to his knees. He begged, not for me, for mercy. The arrogance drained from him, leaving something smaller, pitiful. "I made a mistake," he whispered. "No," I corrected. "You made a choice." I let him kneel there, trembling as I leaned down close enough for him to feel the truth. "You left me with your stepfather like I was a nursemaid. You thought you were escaping. You didn't see that I was building the exit, not for me, but for you." His tears stained the floor. Mine never came. When he signed, his hand barely held steady. His empire, the house, the savings, the security, shifted in an instant. What he thought would sustain his new life had been stripped to the bone. He looked at me one last time, eyes wide with disbelief. "You're not the woman I married." Finally, I smiled. Stepdad laughed then, a short, satisfied chuckle, and the rocking chair creaked into rhythm. My husband stumbled out the door, carrying nothing but himself, and I stood in the silence he left behind. 4 days. That's all it took to dismantle him. 4 days of control, patience, precision. He thought betrayal would break me. But betrayal doesn't break. It sharpens. Now, when I look at that rocking chair, I remember the moment it began. The question whispered like a challenge. Shall we begin? We did, and he found out who took his place.